So gender representation, it's a term we hear thrown around quite a bit these days, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But I wonder how often we really stop and explore, the depth of it, why it's so crucial.
Exactly. And that's what we're doing today. We're going to unpack its foundational role in society, really get into it.
Sounds good.
For this deep dive, we've gathered, quite a stack of material. Articles, some really interesting research, our own notes, all focused on what this stuff calls the imperative of gender representation.
Right.
Our mission, basically, is to pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge, the key insights from all this.
Because it's more than just a buzzword, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's a cornerstone. The sources are really clear when you get diverse gender perspectives genuinely included. The outcomes are just richer.
More equitable, too. And crucially, better suited to what everyone needs.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just about looking good.
No, definitely not. We're moving way beyond just symbolism here. The sources show it has real, tangible impacts, measurable ones.
Across the board, it seems.
Pretty much every sphere of life, yeah. It's about how representation actively shapes outcomes, not just appearances.
Okay, let's unpack that then. The material lays out some really powerful arguments for why this isn't just, a nice to have.
Definitely not.
So what's the first big pillar? What's the foundational reason the sources give for why it's so critical?
Well, at its absolute core, it connects directly to equity and human rights.
Okay.
The research really emphasizes that, look, it's a fundamental right. Every single individual should have the chance to participate fully in public life. Doesn't matter what their gender is.
So it's baked into those core equality principles.
Exactly. It upholds the kind of principles you find in international human rights agreements. Participation isn't a favor, it's presented as a fundamental right.
Okay, that makes sense as a baseline. A fundamental right. But how do the sources connect that principle to, the practical benefits beyond the ethics?
Right, because that's often the key to getting traction, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So what does gender diversity actually do for, say, a team? If they're trying to solve something complex, does it make them perform better?
It absolutely does. And the data here is pretty compelling. This brings us straight to the second pillar. Improved decision-making.
Okay, how so?
Well, study after study shows that mixed gender teams, they just consistently outperform single gender groups.
Really? In what ways?
Across the board, pretty much. Problem solving, creativity, even things like assessing risk more effectively.
Why is that?
It seems to be about the diversity of thought and experience. Different perspectives actively challenge those hidden assumptions, the ones a more homogenous group might miss.
So it reduces those blind spots.
Precisely. Fewer blind spots, varied lived experiences lead to a broader view, a more robust analysis, less biased outcomes.
That's fascinating. So it's not just about fairness, it's about, better results.
Right.
Tangible results.
Exactly.
And if that's happening in teams, what about the bigger picture, the economy? The sources mentioned some pretty huge numbers.
They certainly do. Which leads to the next point. Significant economic gains.
Okay.
The potential is, frankly, staggering. Closing gender gaps, particularly in leadership and just general participation in the workforce, it could boost global GDP.
By how much?
By trillions of dollars, according to some of these analyses.
Trillions, wow. Where does that boost come from?
It's multifaceted. You unlock talent pools that were underused before. You drive different kinds of innovation because you have those diverse perspectives. You also get a better understanding of diverse consumer markets. It all feeds into profitability.
Makes sense.
And it's not just theoretical. Companies with more gender-balanced boards, they consistently report higher profitability, stronger returns for shareholders. It's a clear financial case.
A clear bottom line argument then. Okay, so we have equity, better decisions, economic gains. What about the broader societal impact? How does this ripple out into our communities?
That's the final core pillar identified, social cohesion. When you see visible gender diversity in politics, in the media, running companies, it starts to normalize inclusion. It chips away at those old stereotypes.
So it changes perceptions.
Exactly. It fosters more mutual respect across communities, builds understanding, makes society, function a bit better, more harmoniously.
Right. It's one thing to talk about principles, these pillars, but the sources also gave some concrete examples, right, where we actually see this difference being made.
Absolutely. The real-world impact is where it gets very compelling. They looked at specific sectors.
Like what?
Okay, so take politics. more gender representation. It consistently leads to more responsive policy,
Responsive in what way?
particularly around things like health, education, family welfare, issues that maybe weren't prioritized the same way before. Plus, it tends to boost voter turnout among groups that were previously underrepresented. Better democracy, basically.
Interesting. What about the corporate world?
In business, we talked about the bottom line, but it's also linked clearly to increased innovation. Better talent retention, too. People want to work in inclusive places.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it helps companies access broader markets, understand different customer needs, boosts competitiveness.
And science and tech, that's a big one.
Crucial.
Yep.
In science and tech, more diversity drives different research questions. It leads to more focus on, say, gender-specific health issues or designing tech that actually works well for everyone, not just the default user.
So more inclusive products and research.
Exactly, making technology more universally beneficial. And then there's media and arts.
Right. What's the impact there?
While you get stories that actually reflect the full range of human experience, richer, more authentic cultural output, stuff that resonates more widely.
You know, what really stands out hearing those examples is just the breadth of it. It's not isolated to one area. It's used to improve things systemically.
It really does seem interconnected.
Which brings up the obvious question. If the benefits are so clear that data's there,
Yeah.
why isn't this just standard practice everywhere? What's holding things back?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The sources point to a few key barriers, really persistent ones.
Okay, like what?
First up is implicit bias. Those unconscious preferences we all have, they can subtly or not so subtly skew decisions, hiring, promotions, even just whose voice gets heard in a meeting.
Right, stuff we don't even realize we're doing sometimes.
Exactly. Then there are structural obstacles. These are the more practical hurdles built into how things work.
No, wait.
Think about the lack of genuinely flexible work schedules or parental leave policies that maybe aren't sufficient or don't support all genders equally. And the big one, lack of affordable, accessible childcare. These create real logistical problems.
Huge problems for many people. Okay, so bias, structural issues, what else?
The third main one is a lack of role models. Just a scarcity of visible examples of people from underrepresented genders succeeding in leadership roles. It makes it harder for others to see a pathway for themselves.
If you can't see it, it's hard to be it, sort of thing.
Precisely. It creates a cycle.
Okay, so those are the hurdles. Depressing, but identifiable. What about solutions? What could actually be done about these things?
Well, the good news is for each barrier, the sources also offer practical ways forward, things we can actually do.
Right, let's hear them. How do you tackle implicit bias?
Ongoing training is part of it, but crucially, it needs to be paired with transparent, standardized criteria for things like hiring and promotions. Take some of the subjectivity out.
Makes sense. And the structural stuff. Flexibility, childcare.
Organizations need to actively implement these things. Truly flexible work options, not just paying lip service. Parental leave that supports everyone equally. And seriously addressing the childcare gap, whether through support, subsidies, or on-site options.
Real commitment, not just policy documents.
Exactly. And for the role model problem,
Mentorship.
mentorship programs are key, yes, but also actively promoting and highlighting diverse leaders, making those pathways visible, celebrating success.
So the sources also laid out some really concrete actions, didn't they? Practical steps for organizations.
Yes, they distilled it down into 4 main action points for anyone looking to improve representation.
Okay, what are they?
First, set clear targets. You need measurable goals like aiming for a specific percentage of women on the board or in management by a certain date makes it real.
Got it. Targets. What second?
Second, audit current practices. You have to look honestly at where you are now, do a proper gender equity assessment. Where are the gaps? Why are they there? What processes are contributing?
So diagnose the problem properly.
Exactly. Third, promote an inclusive culture. This is vital. It means actively encouraging people to speak up, celebrating diverse contributions, and really importantly, having zero tolerance for harassment, making it safe for everyone.
Culture change. That sounds like the hardest part.
It often is, but it's fundamental. And finally, fourth, engage stakeholders.
Meaning?
Talk to your employees,
Yeah.
involve community groups, advocacy organizations, get their input when you're designing policies. It leads to better solutions and more buy-in.
Right, collaboration.
And the sources really stress this. These steps aren't a checklist you just tick off once. It requires ongoing, continuous commitment. It's a process.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. Our deep dive today really underscores that gender representation. It's just not a symbolic thing, is it?
Not at all. It's a fundamental driver. Fairness, yes, but also innovation, better performance, a more resilient